Hello, everyone. I was programming this over the weekend, so I did this off stream, and this block it's a little bit overly complicated. You can pause it. Actually, maybe you can't really see it. You can pause it if you want, or you can look at the source. But this block solves the issues that I had with the font being centered last time. So if we are building this, and we run it, you can see that we are having a left aligned, center aligned, and right aligned, UI element. And similarly, if we are changing the language to English, I have to rebuild right now, but in the future, that would be a setting. If we rebuild it with English, then it still works. And the reason why is this offset logic. And the offset is different depending on we are a RTL aligned language or if we are not. So I'm not going to explain it too much. Just be aware that this in Arabic it used to be that this part was aligned here. This was still centered. And then this part was aligned here. So all we are doing is we're shifting by the width of the drawn symbols. And especially for Arabic, because all the letters are drawn from the bottom left, or all the symbols are all the glyphs are drawn from the bottom left. That means that we are not including the width when we get to the last symbol, which we do need to do in left aligned languages, since the end of the thing that we are drawing is the starting point plus the width. And that's why we are having the size X here plus, only for the case where the original line is RTL language. When that is set, and we are adding this, and otherwise we don't. So it's the same thing here. And then plus minus just the direction that we need to shift it. So I hope that's the last time I touch the glyph code in some time, because I would like to advance. However, there's one more thing that we need to do. And I think all we really need to do is go to font metrics, or we need to get the get font here. So somewhere here, we need to call stbtt get font v metrics. So that would be the STB font. So if we call that, I hope that those values can help us center it vertically. Alphabet. This is for one of the fonts, not necessarily the font we're looking at. But we can still take a look. Ascent, descent, line gap, and these are in EM units or something. So it's the unit of the font itself. So we need to multiply this by the scale later. Yeah, I'm saying let's just store that in our font because why not? And then we need to grab that from somewhere. So in alphabet H, where do we put this somewhere? Font info? No. All this stuff goes where? Into the font. And the font is I see. So that's actually in the game header. Here we go. So yeah, let's just throw in here F32 Ascent. And what was the last one? Line gap. Okay. So let's try this immediately. The line break height, I'm assuming, is the line gap divided by the scale. Or maybe multiplied by the scale. Because I think this is a very small number. Or no. The line gap should be in the font units. And this is in pixels. Now this entire calculation, min max, I can do this outside of this function. Maybe it makes sense. Because this minimum and max, the bounding box doesn't really have to do with the font shape. But I want to try plus font accent divided by 2. Actually, this multiply by the scale. Divided by 2. Hello. You just want to see what that looks like. And that looks good. That looks good to me. Let's make it much smaller. So the height should be what? 30 maybe? So like you could say it's not perfectly centered, but visually it looks good. Because this is about the center of the text itself. We kind of ignore the ascenders and descenders, the ones that go like way above. Because visually, this E and the C should be like in the middle, like sort of. But there's nowhere you can put this. You can center the D, but then all the small letters will look wrong. Or you can center the O and then the T will look wrong. Like there's sort of a balance you have to keep up. It might be too bright, but we can try that. That doesn't look good. That looks like it's too high. What if I do this? I'm just like playing around with formulas to see what might look nicer. So this is taking the average between the ascender and the descender. If I change this to Arabic right now, the line break doesn't seem to work. Something is wrong. This looks like it's too low. But maybe it's not a very good representative of Arabic. Let's grab some tall. That is tall. Okay. This is still very low. So in English, it looks good. Yeah, this is the middle now. So I'm curious if I set this to be Arabic and I go to alphabet, get V metrics. Line gap is 0. What the hell? Is that allowed? Hmm? I guess the line gap is just 0. Are those the only metrics I can get? Metrics. Typo ascent. What is this? Specific to Microsoft Windows TTF files. Okay. I guess we can look. Errors. No, it doesn't make any difference. And I wouldn't expect it to make a difference. It sounds like some old DOS thing, honestly. I'm just guessing something. Probably fine. We will see. Yeah. What is going on here? It was working a second ago. That didn't change. That didn't change anything. So weird. What is going on? Like, okay, I changed this, but that shouldn't. Why does that make a difference? Like what? Next, you're telling me that this is not centered as well. $113, $130. So it's about the width of this by divided by 2 that it's not centered. But how is that possible? $11,922. The only thing I can think of is adding this offset size X. but I don't feel like that should be a thing. Uh, this minus that. Would that be correct? I think this advance X is 0 because we're at the very end. But there's something about it. I just don't know. If I do that, I'm adding a space afterwards. Now we can do the size. Take a look at it. Now that size is set. But it's wrong. I don't know, dude. These are all the glyphs in order from the right to the left. And sometimes you have overlapping symbols or something like that because it's dots above or under the symbol. Although these are fairly consistently going ahead. So minus 5,666. Here's one where it goes forwards a little bit. And forward, by forwards, I mean to the right. 9,000, 10,000, 11, 11. These are on top of each other, basically. 12.5. This one is going to the right again. So it's another sort of symbol. And that's why. So hold on. The thing I actually want here is this. I see. I see what's happening. This is so stupid. The last character I'm drawing is this thing. This little dash. So this is not the last character in... It's not the last character that I'm drawing. This is the last character that I'm drawing. So when I'm looking at this... here. So when I'm looking at the line ending, I'm not looking at this point. I'm looking at this point. And that's why everything is being drawn... Why this entire line is considered to be like, you know, shorter than it is. So when I'm adjusting it, it's adjusted to the line, so it goes there instead of here. So that means I need to check what line is the... what character is at the farthest left. So we will do this, but we will only check, you know, the last 16 characters or something like that. How much is enough? I would say 16 is good. 32 is safe. I don't know. Let's make this I-32 max or something. So this is the position. So if I is outside of the array size, then we are breaking. Otherwise, we're getting the position like this. And we say if position is smaller than farthest left, because left goes negative, then we are storing farthest left. And that's it. And this is very stupid, but we have to do it. And 32 is nothing, so who cares? Yep. So now, hopefully it's working forever and we never have to look at it again. For left to right alignment. Although this one, now this is wrong. This is like never ending story of issues. Oh, I did something weird. Huh? Okay. Why is this outside? And also, is this centered? It looks like it. This is 122. Good sign. Good sign. $22. So this one and this one is perfect right now. Why is this one acting up? That should be super simple. It's having the same thing. The glyphs -1. Fine. Happy. We are putting it there. Yeah. Now it's perfect. Now we only have to adjust the height such that it works for both Arabic and English. And if the font is not set up for that, then you know, I can't be responsible. Honestly. So yeah, we have this style height. That's something that we need. And then I don't know. This seems good to me. We take the average of the ascent and descent divided by 2, multiplied by the scale. And that's sort of okay. We can also do this. And that, I think that looks maybe better. So you can see on the numbers, the numbers are centered between 33 pixels and 23 pixels. Really? No, 15 and 14. So like they are very centered. And Arabic naturally is a very, you know, low sort of aligned font. These characters are pretty, you know, far down. And then you have some odd characters or accents that just go very, very high. So whenever you look at Arabic like this, it always looks like it's not centered, but actually it sort of is. And if we are switching back to English, I think this is as perfectly centered as you can get. Like, honestly, visually, this is like basically centered. As close to centered as you can be, honestly. It does look like it's a little bit higher than its low, but that's only because the ascenders are not going that high. The descenders are a little bit longer, and I'm not accounting for those. Is that better? Would you say that's better than the other one? So visually, this one looks more centered. But as you can see, it's not actually more centered because this center line, so to say, it's much lower. And that's why Arabic looks a little bit messed up in comparison. Again, because the descenders are so low. Hello, perfect Jasmine. Hope you're having a great day. We could do minus instead. And then it's way up there. Let's go to English. Let me make the box a little bit larger. So the box here, let's make it 100. Now maybe it's more obvious if it looks centered or not than there. So we have this compared to just the ascent. So then, which is more centered? It's so hard to say. Uh, you suppose I'm on the typography part? Sort of. I have sort of finished it. Like, this is just about making decisions to make it easier for me to generalize the case. And of course, there's never any general case when you're handling multiple languages, because every language has their own rules. Like, okay, maybe Danish and Swedish is going to be very similar, but when you have Chinese, Arabic, English, and I don't know, like Urdu or something, then all those things, there's not one system for it. Like, that's kind of what they're trying to handle with TTFs, to make a sort of rule set that you can always rely on. But even then, I don't think it looks good, because these are centered slightly differently on the vertical line. And this one is better centered, but it messes up Arabic if I center like this. And this is less centered. Although with the descenders, if you ignore the numbers and the big letters, this actually looks better. If you just take this out of context, this looks better. This looks more centered than this. You see, this is like a little bit too low and this is like more aligned. So it's just very hard to make a decision. Yeah, every app that I have seen, that I have used, they are messing up something. It's funny, like Chrome is probably the best one. Like, if you're using a very like basic HTML page and writing Arabic and you're displaying that with a decent font, like Chrome is probably the best program to actually display that. And I'm pretty sure that they have spent, they have an entire team just working on the font drawing part. So I'm a little bit outnumbered in that department, but I can try to make it as good as I can. And honestly, I like this more. So I think I'm just going to keep this. It makes Arabic look fine as well. There's one more alternative that I would like to try though. Oops. And that is negative font descent. So now, instead of taking the accent and moving it to the middle there, we are moving it up by the half of the descender limit. No, that just looks trash. Okay. So I'm making a final decision right now. This is how I style it. Oops. No. Here we go. What is my motive? My motive is... Well, what is my motive? My motive for making this engine is that I think engine programming is fun. It's fun, it's interesting, and I would like to learn more. And also, if I actually want to make something, I want to make something that is mine. I like it more than working with someone else's engine where I have to look up the specs all the time. As a general, left to right is messed up 99% of the time. It's hell every time you backspace or just use arrows to move the cursor. Dude, or ma'am, I'm sorry, I don't know your gender. But, just pasting in Arabic text here. I don't know if you read Arabic, but this is kind of gibberish words. I think it makes sense in isolation, maybe like one word or a couple words at a time. But this is some kind of like lorem ipsum generator that I got this from. And if I'm pasting this, like it's crazy. I'm trying to select this part and it does this. It selects everything except the thing that I selected because it thinks that I'm going from the end to this point. And that's only like selecting text. If I want to draw here, I put this word plus 456 and it goes on the top. It goes on the beginning of the next word because this as a whole is drawn left to right with a space in the middle, rather than realizing that this 456 is attached to these with a space, and then this 789 is attached to this word. So it's really dumb, and I don't like it, and that's why I want to make something better. But that's, you know, at least I don't have to be the person who is typing this into a system. I am just making something that can display it and can display it accurately. So you can see here that, again, it's like some word, 1, 2, 3, some other word, 4, 5, 6, and then the next word starts 7, 8, 9, and then this word. And if I draw that in Arabic, you can see that that looks accurate, or it should look accurate, because it's the word space 1, 2, 3 space some word 4, 5, 6 attached space 7, 8, 9, and then this word. So I have done my best without reading Arabic, mind you. Like I hope that this is correct. I have done my best to make sure it's accurate. And also for line breaks, we can change the string that we're drawing. Intro 0. It might be overlapping into itself. So yeah, something is wrong with this. You're no professional, but it doesn't look off. Yeah, thanks. I have worked a lot with Arabic text, and every time I've worked with it, it's pissed me off in other programs. So here I'm drawing from there, but then all the other lines are messed up for some reason. So I think my line break is just messed up right now. It looks kind of wrong. I don't believe you. So what I'm drawing here, you can see this and this is the same line. And it should be what I'm drawing here. And it starts from the right, I believe. Now, the thing is, I can't actually trust VS Code to display this accurately. Is it? It should be this one. Where do you find the beginning? This might be the last line. But yeah, if I will fix the line break, then you will be able to see. This is C, not C++. And it says in the title, so you should be able to see it. Let's fix the line break, because the line break is the reason why it's messed up. This font line gap is 0. So yeah, we get the line gap 0, but then I'm calculating ascent minus descent. Oh, I never set it. That's the reason why. No? So many typos. Okay. You can tell that I'm getting tired of messing around with this text. Okay. So we're printing a bunch of stuff. Let's do only the one box because I only need the one box. Let's do RTL. Here we go. So now this is the string that you should actually compare. Now it's actually a little bit too far down. Let's put it at 800. So okay, right now we're only adjusting the last line, I guess. And then the other ones are above. And the reason for that is because I'm trying to center it on a dot here, but never mind that. So now if we look here, this is the string that we're comparing to. This is the first word, and you can see this is the same. And then it goes and it goes, and then it line breaks automatically, and it goes to the next one. Now this is all aligned to the left, and only this one is aligned to the right. It's aligning to this line here. So I have to figure out why only one line is affected and not all of them. The total glyphs here, no Raylib? No. I'm not. The only libraries I'm using, I can show you. These are the libraries I'm using. So I'm using Glue on Windows. I'm using Handmade Math for my vectors, vector math, matrix multiplications. I'm using Kiba text shape for the placement of all these glyphs. I'm using STB for rasterizing the font. And then this is my own libraries. For example, JSON parsing and radix sorting. And this is my own image format that I will be using for textures and things like that. I'm a madman. I really don't see why people think it's so crazy. Like you said yourself, most libraries handling fonts are broken anyway. So I could be spending much more time trying to make a library that already exists to make it work than I'm doing right now, just writing my own. And I'm trying to write it correct the first time because I actually care. Most of the time, I feel like people don't really care. They just do one test case and go on with their lives. So we have total glyphs here, but we actually need to run this once per line. And I forget exactly. Here's our shape run. So we are done with the run. We have made it like on a single line, I believe. Then I'm doing the line breaks. And for each line, I need to make this adjustment. Yeah, this is the fun part to me in many ways. I like working with engine stuff. So I think maybe we just take this entire thing and wait. Line start. This line start. See, this is the problem. I wrote this number of weeks ago, line start. And I just need to remember exactly what is going on. So yeah, this entire block, we need to put it inside of our line break function. But now this is going to be messed up because we actually, instead of using the farthest, or no, instead of using the total glyphs, we need to use the line start and line end. Last start. So we're going through this function. We're starting at 0. So this line start is 0. Then we are drawing the word or something. We get here. Let's step through it. It's probably easier. We are having last start, line start. Maybe step from here. If it's max width. Oh, I see. So we don't want to do this for every for every glyph. We only want to do it if we actually shifted. So then this would go in here. So when we reach this point, we have noticed that the line start is not the same as the last start. So the last start is set at the very, very beginning. And then if we are overflowing with our size, right? Yeah. If the offset of our glyph is wider than the max width that we have set, we set the line start to be some number. And then because it's not the same, we need to shift everything. So I'm doing that shift here, but now we also need to shift like between 0 and 64. These are the glyphs that we need to shift. So that would be this is the count. Although, no, the total glyphs would be, that's the total count. So it's this. You speak Arabic if you need translating? Cool. I don't need any translation right now. All I need to do is make sure that it's drawn correctly. But thanks for the offer. I'm listening to some very bad music. You can't hear because of copyright, but kind of annoying me. Let's see. The count doesn't have to be. You know what? Screw it. We'll just do this for the entire count. What? We don't care. Total count. Let's go. CPU time is cheap anyway. So we do the same thing, but we do it between these positions. And this offset this would be last start plus total count minus I. Yeah. Because if we are starting at 0, then yes, this becomes 64. We're taking 0 plus 64 minus I because we're going backwards in the array. However, if this is some other number, you know, the line starts at glyph number 100, and then the last start, or no, this line start is actually line end. I don't know why I called it line start. It makes sense somewhere probably. But just imagine that this is 100 and this is 50. So this count becomes 50. But we're starting from 50 up to 50 to get to 100. So that's what this is saying. Like we're starting at 50 plus the total count, which is 50. So we're at 100, the last glyph in the range that we're looking at, and then minus 1 because we're going one negative glyph all the time. We get the offset X, and then we store the smallest one. Why are there a bunch of sits in Arabic? I don't know. Are you talking about these ones? These are just some characters that I found useful for testing my function drawing, my function drawing Arabic. So the thing is, I don't speak Arabic. I just Googled Arabic lorem ipsum. And then, I generated something. Well, maybe not this one. You can see I've visited these before. So I generated something like this, and then I just took I took a word here that was very convenient for me. Because it has a bunch of diacritics. You can see it's hard to see on the stream probably, but you see this has 2 diacritics right there. And then this one has another one. And then this one also has one. So those are just very useful for me to be able to draw them and debug my program. So, and then I wanted to add some spaces, But it's not supposed to mean anything. It's just supposed to be like for debugging purposes. I can't I don't know any Arabic. I don't know how to type Arabic. I don't know how to generate any Arabic. I'm just copy pasting. So it's only for testing again. Anyway, I think, is that all we need to do? The total glyphs that is everywhere, we need to do it with a total count plus the last start. Because this is now a range. Line start. -1. I wish that this was already working, because I thought it was working. I thought it was done. But now I'm back editing this again. So this is still wrong. This is completely wrong. There are 2 diacritics. Well, that's the thing also, because you can say that in a language, this is going to be completely wrong, but just bear with me, right? So you can say that you have some letter in Arabic, and then you have 1 diacritic there. Like, I don't know, maybe this is 1 diacritic or 2 diacritics, I don't know. But you can say that, this is only 1 diacritic, and then you have 1 diacritic, and then that's the limit. But actually, if you are programming the font, the font might say, here's 1 diacritic, here's 1 diacritic, and here's 1 diacritic, and here's another one. And then in total, it has 4. Yeah, it changes the letter. Like, all I'm saying is that the way you program a font file is different from how the language works. It doesn't necessarily work the same. So I would say, for example, I'm Swedish. So I'm having the letter O, and I'm having the letter E. And this letter and this letter are completely different. You might as well write A and B. They have nothing in relation to each other except that they are both vowels. However, if someone is making a font, they might just say, I'm going to reuse the O character, copy paste that, and then I'm adding a diacritic called an umlaut. And then because this font is also supporting German, and German is having this U, so then you are taking the diacritic from there and putting it there. So in the language, it's a different character, but in the font file, it's actually a mashup of diacritics and letters. And no, it's not problematic because the font doesn't really care about it doesn't care about the diacritics in the sense that you have a limited number of them that you can use. The font just has a glyph, and if I would open up RenderDoc for you, and we are running my program. The way I'm doing it is I'm going through every glyph in this, every glyph that I'm generating. Like I'm going through, I have the text as a UTF-8 string. It's just a bunch of, bytes in UTF-8. And based on the UTF-8, I am generating a texture. And the texture, where do I get it? Here. I'm generating a texture that looks like this. So you can see here, if you speak Arabic, you will notice that you're having a bunch of duplicate letters, but you have the middle version and you have the beginning and end version, and then you have the diacritics. They're also just like glyphs, honestly. It's just 1 dot, 2 dots, 2 dots closer together, 3 dots in a triangle, and this sideways line. And when you give the font file a UTF-8 string of bytes, it generates a glyph and a position. So it takes this if it's the end of the word, or it takes this one if it's the beginning of the word, wherever it is. I'm not sure. And then if you have a diacritic, because the UTF-8 is telling you this, then it takes that and it puts it above the previous one, and it's just like an offset move to the right position. And then the next time you write another letter, then it has, this offset again to draw. So from a programming perspective, it's just a string of bytes giving you a glyph and a position, and then you just draw them one by one. But from a visual perspective, you might have one diacritic or 2 or 3, and you see that because it's it's drawn on top of the same letter. So that's why here, when I'm talking about diacritics here, I'm talking about the fact that I can have this letter, or I can have, or rather, what's a good one? I don't speak Arabic, so I can't tell. Yeah, I don't know. I think you know what I mean. So like, I'm not talking about the language itself. I'm talking about from a programming perspective. And that is why I'm having this issue, or I had this issue. I fixed it now, where I was drawing the character, the main character, on the body of the text, and then I was drawing the diacritic somewhere earlier in the word, and then my offset was wrong because I was looking at the last character drawn. But the last character drawn visually is different from the last character drawn in the font. So that was a lesson I had to learn. But then why is this not happening then? Or why is this not working? We're going to have to step through it. Here we go. So for the first line, 0 and 64. And you notice here that we are drawing it. That's probably why it's not really working. Offset X. Hmm. Are they negative or not? Huh? Oh, it's the minus the offset Y that is negative. I meant that it could maybe be problematic when rendered, which could overlap into another line like that. Well, again, it doesn't. The programmer who is implementing this thing doesn't really care. If there is a language where you can add a bunch of diacritics over and over until you get a visual pasta, then you're allowed to do that. But that's an issue with the font file or the language itself. It's not really related to anything else. Is the source code available on GitHub? No, but it's available on GitLab. So here you can get it. So for some reason here, I would expect the offsets to be negative, but it's not. So let me check something. They are still positive. So how is this being drawn? So I'm doing this, but not for the last line for some reason. Without AI, I must be alpha. I am using AI, but I'm only using it as a replacement for Google. I'm not using AI to write code. I'm using AI to simplify documentation, basically, or summarize 1,000-page threads on some forum where the answer you're looking for is on page 648. So I see what I'm doing here. We need to run this function once more on the last line. So let's ignore that. I know I'm not making a lot of sense, but like, just here's what's going on. I am having my line of text. It starts, I think, here, and it goes all the way for all 600 characters. And then I'm saying, well, actually, I want to have a line break because this is getting too long. So I am adding a line break and I'm drawing on the next line. And then when it reaches the end, I'm adding another line break. Is there a new line here? There's no new line here. So why is it breaking? Oh, because I'm doing this. Doesn't make sense. This is killing me, dude. But yeah, I'm doing that every time I'm overflowing. So that's why these are fairly the same size. And then I'm not, the last line is not overflowing. So it never runs this code. So if I would do something like this, last start, I have to figure out what is the proper place to start and end. If I'm at the very end, on the last line, last start, then this would be line start, and this would be total glyphs. And I can't build if that's occupying the process. So now they're all fixed, right? But they are not centered. So we need to center them also. So that's why I'm adding this. And that should run for every line up here. But actually, it's not. And I want to change the language to English because something is going on that I don't understand. I see. I see. That does make sense to me. Because I remember how I was writing this complex function yesterday, I believe, off stream, this thing. This is way too long though. Let's just make it a little bit smaller, like that maybe. Don't worry about it not being exactly centered. That is weird. So what is this? Is it it's the new line. The new line is not respected. Interesting. So yeah, this is right aligned. It's in basically the correct position. We can change it to left, right, left alignment, and that works. And we can change it to middle. And that is not working. What the hell? Integer elementum. Huh? It says integer. There's no way that this is too long. It's something to do with this function right there. Now it's how I would expect it to be. Let's make it even smaller. This is enough to test with. And now we're going back to having our 3 test cases. RTL, MDL, LTR. Oh, I see. I want the left to right to be on the top, maybe. It's on the bottom because reasons. Okay. So this looks good. Left aligned, center aligned, right aligned. Here's the problem. We switched to Arabic. And actually, I need to change the line to be way smaller. And now you can see it, right? Let's put it more in the middle. Game C. 700 should be easier to see. I don't know what this is. So this one is actually correct. However, the entire thing should be shifted by the width. This one is also correct. I think this one is completely messed up, and I don't know what this box is. Am I still drawing some random rectangle? Let's not draw that rectangle. Maybe add 100 just to make it easier. So what is this line? This line is the same as this line, but that's not the start of the word. This is the start of the start of the sentence, essentially, right? So is that the one at the very end? Is it this one? It's this thing right at the end. Yeah, comma and a bunch of things. So for some reason, we're drawing here. This line. This one might be. I think it's this word. Is this word, right? And then we keep writing, and then you have this, which is this word, right? So we're drawing from there to like continuing there. And then you just have, you know, some kind of aneurysm and it goes all the way down there. Same thing here. It just goes all the way off script. So obviously we have some issue with the last line. Okay, so how many, what is this? This is like 2 lines too far. Zero, 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2. That's for the 3 cases, right? Again, let's just draw 1. Zero, 1, 2, and then what is going on? And the lines start, what is the total glyphs? 223. So we go here. We don't actually need to advance the line. I think that's why maybe that could be one reason why. Oh, it's still too far. We get the shift X by line start. Line start is 189. That's correct. And then from 189 to 223, we are shifting current line. Hold on. Here's the IDs of all the glyphs in our font file. You can see the offset X. These are in font units, not pixels. We are having another font struct here with the scale. So we are multiplying this by this value, offset X and offset Y, to get the pixel position. So that's not, don't mind that too much. This is the first line, minus 23, 23. They should be, all of the ones that are on the same line should be like that. And then sometimes, rarely, I think you get a diacritic sort of. So this is a little bit slightly different. 23, 26. Here's one, 2197. So that's like one of these lines or something that goes on top. But this is all still on the same line. 2000, 2300, something like that. Then we get to the next line, 46. And then after 180, was it 189? Yeah. After this point, this is the weird thing to me because we have this 69, 69, and then we reach 189 and we are adding a bunch of shifts. And I don't know where this is coming from. We're shifting everything below it. So my original code was working. It's close to working. In this case, it just works. Mostly. This is supposed to be further to the right. This is not working, and this is not working. But the offset in Y is correct. So actually, I guess this would work. Or this one, rather. Oops. And this is actually the one that I think was broken. This is the thing that we need to do. But instead of this, let's try this. Too many errors generated. I'm having some kind of scope error. I think I'm just missing one end. Yeah. So yeah, this looks like Hmm. I would expect this to work better. Never mind the Y position, but that they would all be here and that this would be 1 off and this would be 2 off. That is a little bit weird. Let's add the Y offset again. The Y offset is just this. Multiplied by the line count, whatever it was called, current line. Undeclared J. It's so confusing to me. Why would it randomly add an extra line there? One error. So this, it's so close to correct, but it's randomly adding extra lines. Because this is commented out. Line count. Is there another? Is it this thing? No, that's the one that I just made. And this is unrelated. So somehow this current line one, sure. 2, 3. How? $189, $223. So before we add anything, you can see this is all on the same line up to 222, 2300 something. We do one pass. Everything is shifted down. Everything is shifted down. I see. I see what's going on. Because I'm going to the total glyphs. But I think actually I do want to do line start, line glyph count. What was it? The total count. Is it line start? Shouldn't it be last start up to line start? These names are a little bit confusing right now. Ha. Line start. This actually doesn't make any sense. So that should work. Sorry, I gotta take a short break. I'll be right back. I am back. We don't have so much time. We have to really try to speedrun the logic here a little bit. What can we do here? Is it not line start plus total count? Last start. That should work. Huh? Okay, now I'm just kind of getting pissed off at this logic. Like, what is going on here? Not equal. All right. We're having last start, line start. So between 0 and 64, current line is 1, let's say, doesn't really matter, times the line gap minus equal. So this offset that is minus 23 becomes minus 46. And we do that for all of them up to 64. Perfectly fine. Then we have the next line. So now our line is 1. We are starting at 64. The last one ended before 64 at 63. You see here? So from 64 to 74, these values are all right, except this. This is a little bit too small, isn't it? From 64 to 73? But the first one was from 0 to 64. So how many lines do we have here? It's definitely too many. And you can see that they get out of hand pretty fast. So there's something we're forgetting to do. It's probably like this Shift X or something. It's because we're shifting the entire thing. So we're taking all of the characters and we're shifting them down one and to the right by the amount that we have calculated. So we do need to do for the total amount of glyphs. There's not really any way around it with the way that I have made it. Shift X. And that's why I'm drawing one word and shifting it down over and over. Now, what why? Why is that? We're having minus 23. The lines are line start. Shift X is interestingly, oh, it's uninitialized. What's going on? 21, 0. Okay, maybe it's actually accurate, except the fact that it's every word again. And this is growing exponentially fast. It's growing out of hand. Shift X is 0. If it's a right to left language, which Arabic is, we're grabbing 0 to 64, the farthest left. So this is 63. Huh? Why is it 64? Maybe that's why it's growing on a hand. So this offset 63 is this value minus 21. And that is to the farthest left. So we're storing that until we reach the end of the lines, the 64 characters that we are trying to shift or shift from. 2115 was the farthest left. Yeah, okay. The last character happened to be the farthest left, which is true. Then we're checking if it's the layout MDL. Let's skip that for now. We are only checking LTR style. Now this is completely wrong again, even though we're starting we're having two loops from the line start. No, not from the line start, from the last line, last shift, last start to line start. Right? So these are the characters in the beginning on the line. And then these are all the characters after the line that we need to shift to a new line. So we're obviously not shifting the offsets like that. And this shift, I guess we will find out. It's still breaking somewhere. So we have to check that. From 0 to 64, we're like this. Maybe it makes more sense. And this is going backwards for some reason. I think the way I'm thinking about this is that this starts at the end and this ends at the start. So this should, ideally, this J should just go from, like, it should be contiguous on one line in the array. So again, we're shifting everything below us. And here, this offset X is like added. Line, current line, fine. So why is the shapes here, offset 23. Offset X minus 400 minus 22. Shift X. I'm doing the same. Why is it minus 400? Before anything, minus 400, 11, 800, 14, 16. Okay. And then down here, 4, 11, 8, 14, fine. And then we go once, and everything except this one is affected. So am I using the right J? The end, the total glyphs, 222. That's the very, very, very end. Up until 64. So we reach the end of that. We are shifting everything by 21K. And do we actually want to do minus? Maybe we want to do plus. I forget. But they are all shifted now. Minus 8,000. Okay. Up until it goes to 64. Here's a big jump. And then this J. How did it go? Why is it 27? $27? What? Is it a trick? Line start. I think it's just some kind of trick. It's uninitialized. So we're starting at 64, down to 0. The next time we come here, it's including 64. Guess that's fine. I really would like to see these characters. Hello, Mohammed Taha. So yeah, this is close to what I want. I guess it must have been like drawing here and then adding something. I don't know. Or maybe it was stacking negative values over and over and over again. This is actually very close to what I want. Still, the last one just isn't quite doing it. I think that's correct. We're doing line count. Current line. And this is line start total glyphs. Up until it's the total count. This is the end. I can clean this up later. Right now it makes sense to me. Plus. All the glyphs in this line. There's no glyphs in the line below. This is from the total glyphs up until last line something. I keep forgetting. Line start. Yes. Okay. Is it faster to code myself or use Claude Code and debug at every stage? Well, the thing is that if you want to understand the code that you're making, then coding yourself is going to be by far the fastest method to do anything. If you don't care what the code says, but also then be unable to debug it, possibly even to understand it, then using Claude Code, like Claude Code is great for generating a bunch of code that you have no idea how it's working. But if you actually want to use it, if you want to debug it, if you want to understand it, then there's no way around making it yourself. And you might say, well, Claude is saving me so much time typing and debugging. But the problem is, if you're generating code, then you're shifting the problem from understanding it at the moment that you're typing and designing it to the point where you have to debug it or change it later. And reading code and understanding it is way harder than just writing it in the first place. And that's why you see a lot of people, they are working on a problem for a long time and they are making like some project or something like that. They come back to it a year later and they have no idea like what the fuck am I doing? What is going on? I have no idea. And they just end up doing a rewrite, a complete rewrite from nothing. So even when people are designing their own code, sometimes they need to rewrite it completely because it kind of like was badly written or it doesn't make sense or they didn't prepare for something that actually happened. And the benefit of writing it yourself the first time is that now you have that experience that you can bring with you and write something better, hopefully, the next time. But if you're generating code, you have no idea how it's working, and then you want to change something, well, you just have to generate it over again. And if you were using one of the paid, like if you need to have paid access to some kind of like strong AI model. And if you don't have that, well, suddenly you can't do anything with the code. It's just like garbage because you can't change it. You don't know what's going on. Or you just need to pay the same cost that you paid initially or potentially more. So if you are a programmer and you want to write code, then I would recommend you writing code. If you're not a programmer and you don't care about the implementation, and then I guess you could generate code for you. As long as you're allowed to, because basically an AI model is just a big laundromat for copyrighted code. So, if you're fine with just generating, like I would generate boilerplate to get something going so that I understand like, okay, this is booting, this is running. I understand. So I can step through it in the debugger and see how it's working and learn from that. Boilerplate is completely fine. But if you are just, I don't know, and like I said, an AI model is just this laundromat for copyrighted code, it's trained on a bunch of copyrighted projects that you don't have a right to use, either without paying or without giving them like some kind of credit. But the only good code I've ever seen from an LLM is code is basically copy paste from a person. I have never seen an LLM model come up with some novel code that never existed before in any similar fashion. It's always just, it was trained on an existing implementation and then it gave it back to you, but without giving you a source. And then you're just like, oh, so an LLM gave it to me, so I don't have to give copyright to the owner. So yeah, this is working now. Finally. Let's see if it just works. We are having this we need to change. Let's start with one of them. Hope you didn't spoil my flow. No, never mind. It's completely fine. I'm about done for the day anyway. I need to go to the store before they close. They close in about an hour. I am just trying to get this done before I need to leave because I really don't want to come back to it later. So this is, again, the total glyphs -1. No. This is the Shift X. This is the farthest left position. And similarly, this is farthest left, last start, plus total count, -1. -1. I think this is having the same issue, potentially. So I would need to have a farthest right. And call this min. And then we just do a farthest right. If position is larger than farthest right, then we are setting that. And now I can put I need the, because of the way it works, I have to get the width of the character to the farthest right. Damn, I'm literally speedrunning. I can hear my wife getting ready to leave. Oh no. Farthest right and the right size equals it's this dot size x semicolon, and we are doing plus the size and the farthest right. Oh damn. When will I be live again? Well, I'm trying to make a schedule. I'm trying to make a schedule, but I'm not keeping it very well. I will be back in roughly 20 hours or so. Okay. I forget to uncomment this. I have literally like 5 minutes, guys, or less. That looks fine. I'm only looking at the very bottom. That is good. That is perfect. Okay. All right. See you tomorrow. This we're copying here. Now it doesn't know what the farthest right is, but we will be adding it. Like so. And finally this. Ah, fuck. Okay. We are not fixing this right now. I was hoping that was going to be it. We will fix it later or tomorrow. Maybe I will fix it tonight without you guys watching. Thank you very much for following, watching, anything.